I think link building is probably the part of SEO that can really make you different from your competitors.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this e-commerce marketing focused podcast. If you're not familiar with the format, well, each month we focus on a different marketing method, and each week I interview a different expert to explore the latest advice on making it work for you. Before we get into today's SEO episode, I want to give a quick shout out to Janice Thomas, one of our loyal listeners and one of our Chloe's e-commerce club members, because I'm thanking her for two things. First off, she put in the request that we cover this topic. And secondly, she recommended the guest I should invite to cover it. And as you're about to hear, it's a brilliant guest. So huge thanks to Janice for the topic recommendation and the guest recommendation. And if you want that kind of impact that Janice has had on what appears in this podcast, then come join the club. You will find how to apply at keepopt.com/club, and hopefully I'll be chatting to you in there soon. This month we are all about SEO, and this is the last of our SEO episodes. So we've done technical SEO, we've done content, we've done YouTube SEO as well. In this episode, we're talking about possibly the most difficult part of SEO, the bit which is very much not within your control, which is link building. We are talking about link building done right. My guest will be sharing 4 different ways in which you can go about creating the right kind of links back to your site. She'll be sharing even the stats you need to care about, the metrics you need to look at, both in choosing where you want links and tracking the impact of those. She'll be sharing a whole plethora of strategies that fit within those 4 ways of doing link building. And we are very much focused on not just getting any old links to the website. We're talking about getting links to your pages that convert, the category pages, the product pages. Fascinating set of strategies coming up. I think you're going to really love this one. And as always, make sure you listen right to the end of the episode, because my guest is sharing some brilliant advice and stack loads of resources in the insider tips section at the end. So make sure you listen right to the end, everybody. Remarkable Commerce is the UK's most flexible and configurable e-commerce platform, designed specifically for D2C retailers who want to grow their sales quickly. They're trusted by leading retailers like Moss, Ben Sherman and Roman. Remarkable's key differences are full freedom of your front-end design and full control of which composable modules you wish to use. Very excitingly, they've just released this year's Digital Retail Index, a performance audit of nearly 800 UK retailers, ranking them by key technical metrics. To find out where you're ranked or submit your own site for analysis, go to keepopt.com/remarkable. That's REMARKABLE. So keepopt.com/remarkable for the Digital Retail Index. In this episode, I'm chatting with SEO expert Rosa Mitchell. Rosa is one of the team at connective3, a multi-award-winning digital marketing agency who create market leaders. Working globally with brands such as Avon, Wren Kitchens and Thoughtful, Rosa's specialism is in digital PR and SEO. With the hard-to-find combination of analytical brain and creative flair, we are super pleased to have her on the show. Hello, Rosa.
Hi, Chloe. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant to have you here. You come highly recommended. I always think link building is the toughest thing to talk about in SEO because, well, as we're going to discover, it can go in so many different directions. But we'll come on to that in a minute. Before we get into link building, though, you have a fascinating career in SEO. So how did you end up in SEO?
So I studied journalism at university. I think I watched far too many films where everyone had a glamorous editorial job when I was younger. And I thought that was where I was going to end up without knowing that print journalism really is not the same place it was 15 years ago, but really enjoyed the writing side of it. After university, I kind of job hopped a little bit between a couple of different finance jobs, and then ended up writing content for a savings and investment company. And from that job, I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then I started in my first agency role. In my first agency role, I was a marketing exec, so I did everything from a few little technical bits on the website to content writing to the very early days of link building, kind of emailing people for a guest post and that kind of stuff that we used to do before the really big creative boom in digital PR. And from there, I moved to another agency and then another one after that, and then eventually ended up at connective3 about 3 years ago, which has been a brilliant role to date. I started off as a senior PR strategist, then progressed to head of digital PR, and now I'm business director. So I'm in charge of our Manchester office and help with the growth and development of Manchester. But my first love in SEO is definitely digital PR.
Well, we love that your first love is digital PR because it's going to be great chatting to you about that and the impact it has on one's SEO in this. So link building in 2024, what are we trying to achieve? What are we looking at? What are our metrics?
So when I first started in digital PR specifically, rather than kind of the digital PR content hybrids, the most important things was link numbers, the number of links that you got. And then we'd also check things like domain authority of the links. Now, and I think probably most PR practitioners will feel the same, we need to be reporting on things in a kind of much more deeper metrics than that. We need to build links. That's what we do. That's kind of the bread and butter of a digital PR's job. But we need to make sure the links that we're building are actually having an effect on your traffic and visibility. So you need to make sure that you are building links that have good domain authority. So I would say anything over 30. If a link is really, really relevant and it's going to a service page, then I think 20 plus. But as a standard, I'd say 30 plus DA. I'd make sure that I took a note of when you started link building or when you started launching a big creative campaign. Take a look at any visibility increases and any traffic increases. And then further on from that, you can take a look at whether that's actually had an impact on sales or leads. Link building is a really, really important part of SEO. But the reason that we're doing it, the reason that we do anything in SEO is to help push your brand up the SERPs and then eventually to impact sales and leads. And in terms of things like brand, digital PR is great because it's brilliant to build your brand and to get your brand out there and to get people to know who you are and what your expertise is in. But I think that traffic, visibility, sales and leads are the most important things for digital PR practitioners to track. This is all great and you can build loads of really great high DA links, really shoot up in visibility and kind of see your traffic massively increase. Jumping a little bit ahead here, but in terms of deeper SEO, if you don't have content that converts on site or if your website isn't technically sound, you can drive all those people to your site, but they're not going to then convert. You're not going to get sales. You're not going to get leads. So having those three things, tracking traffic and visibility, but having those three things work in tandem, links, content, and technical SEO is the most important thing in digital PR in general at the moment, I think.
I'm assuming the reason we're making that step change between just looking, let's just get loads of links, and this more comprehensive look at what the impact of the work is, that's just kind of evolution of the industry and increasingly increased competition in getting results rather than it being a Google algorithm change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think link building is probably the part of SEO that can really make you different from your competitors. If you're working at a really high level, you're probably going to have an in-house team or an agency that's working on your site technically to make sure it loads, to make sure there's no bugs. You'll probably and hopefully have a good content team that understands content that converts. So if everyone has that, then how do you differentiate between how does Google differentiate between each brand? And I think the real way to show that is to show the trust and authority of your site, which is that link building side of it. And it has really evolved over the last few years. And I think relevancy is a really important topic in digital PR as well, making sure those links that you build are relevant to your brand and relevant to your target audience. And Google can tell whether it is going to be relevant or not, and it'll pass through more authority then.
Got you. I want to come back to a couple of those metrics you were talking about and where we're getting these numbers from, because I'm sure there's a few of the audience going, but where do I find domain authority? So quick answers to these if you can. Domain authority, where are we taking that from?
I use Moz. There are free websites that you can use online as well. I think Domain Authority Checker, not 100% sure that's what it's called, but I think that's what it's called. You can use that if you don't have the budget for Moz as well.
Cool. Excellent. And then visibility and traffic numbers, are these coming from Google Search Console?
I use Systrix for visibility.
Cool. And then the sales is simply whatever you're tracking sales via?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Just so everybody knows what we're talking about there. So we're looking for good quality websites to be talking about us, or to be talking about content that's relevant to us, to then be sending links through. Is this something where we do it? I mean, kind of old school link building was just emailing people and asking them to add links to old content, or even paying them for links. Is that the sort of thing we do these days, or should the great majority of our effort be put into PR campaigns that encourage people to talk about us?
Yeah, so I am against buying links in any form. I think if it hasn't already, that it'll eventually come back to bite you in terms of websites. And I don't know when. It might be the next algorithm update after this one, or it might be 10 years in the future. But I really do think Google will form some way of finding out if a link is being paid for, and it really could come back to bite you. So I just don't think link buying has a place in digital PR anymore. Creativity does, and you don't have to buy links either. My team does a fantastic job day to day of creating amazing digital PR campaigns, which means we don't have to buy links. On the second point, link reclamation, which is what we call it, probably does still have a place in digital PR. So that's if your brand is mentioned on a website. So for example, if you are a brick and mortar store and there is a shopping centre that has one of your brands in it, and there is a website explaining that it has your brand, emailing through to the shopping centre and asking them to link back to your website is what we'd call link rec. That website, as long as it's kind of a high DA website and it is relevant to your brand, whereas if it is a brick and mortar store, it would be relevant. That's a good way to build links, and that's a good way to build links if you don't have a massive budget for creative campaigns as well. Looking at those brand mentions and getting a link back there.
And is that as simple as kind of Googling your brand name and seeing where it appears?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. If you've got any kind of online social listening tools as well, you can have a look at your brand name and see where that appears there. But you can just start with a Google search, especially if you're new to it.
Got you. So that's kind of like a quick, let's hoover up, make people link to us who are already talking about us, which has to be good. But then what we really want to do, I'm guessing, is we want to get people talking about us and linking back. One thing before we get deep into how we actually do that is, are we looking for links that go to our homepage? Are we looking for links that go deeper? What's getting the best results at the moment for e-commerce brands?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago when I kind of really was getting into digital PR, the conversation was mainly about links to homepage. Over the last few years, what the good digital PR practitioners have realised, the value of building links to product and service pages. It especially works when people are searching for very specific keywords. So a product page such as black trousers, for example, if you are a retail clothing website, if you can build links back to that page, people who are searching for those specific keywords, you're much more likely to be seen in the SERPs. And it can be a little bit more difficult sometimes building those product or service page links because you have to do very specific campaigns related to that product or service, but they really do make a big difference to the SERPs, especially in those specific keywords that are product focused that people will be searching for. What is also really, really important, if for some reason a journalist won't link to your product or service page, will only do your blog with the PR campaign on, or your homepage, is to make sure you've got a really good internal linking strategy. So that link power will pass through to that page that you want it to, because you've got that internal linking strategy on your website already. So product service page link building is really important, and it should be something that's on your priority, especially if you've got really high conversion product and service pages that, if someone lands on it, they're more than likely going to convert. Really important to build links to that. If you are struggling with that, it's really important to have that internal linking strategy, so those homepage links and those blog links still do pass that power through.
So it's worth getting a homepage or a blog link, but we really want to make sure that we're getting the links through to the trousers category or the skirts category or whichever piece it is. So I totally get how digital PR works. To be like, we've created this amazing campaign, this fun thing that sits on this blog page. You tell a load of people about it, create some hype, and they link through to that. How do you get them to link through to the skirts page or the trousers page? How do we go about constructing a campaign that delivers those kind of links?
There are a few different ways. You do have to be more specific with the type of campaign that you create. So rather than it being a big campaign that's centered around your product offering, but is a little bit more nebulous, you need to talk about things specifically. So a really good way to do it is to do reactive PR, which some people call newsjacking. So for example, if you do want to talk about a specific product, the black skirts, for example, if there is someone in a celebrity who has made a specifically really nice outfit with this black skirt, you could write an expert quote from your in-house fashion designer who could talk about how black skirts are going to be the next big thing over the next 6 months, and could talk about it and link back to that product page because it's very specifically talking about that. And that's kind of how you would fit it in there. You could also, in your bigger PR campaigns, in the sections, talk about that type of product that you want to talk about, and then internally link that as well. So there are a few different ways to do it, but you do have to be a little bit more specific to that page, which sometimes means that you don't get the same volume as links as you would do to the home page. But because they are linking back to that specific product page, they still make a big difference in those targeted keywords.
Got you. So this could work if we were, I don't know, if we've got that seasonal campaign going on, where the key trends we think are going to be, our 3 key trends for this season, we make sure we've put together pages for those key trends, which hopefully are going to be something as evergreen as black skirts, but might be leopard print shirts or something. But we make sure we've got a category page that's relevant to those trends. So it's kind of like joining the dots around what we're doing to make sure we've fed that information through to every level of the business.
Yeah, exactly. And it works really well for seasonality. Yeah, seasonality makes a really big difference to that kind of thing. And you can really tailor your campaigns towards that as well. Speaking to your SEO team internally, or if it's you doing that research yourself and finding out which product pages or service pages do really convert and what time of year they convert, that can really feed into your strategy.
And then how do we make people aware of the story we want them to talk about? Is it emailing journalists, going to events and talking to journalists, putting it up on social? What's the kind of the outreach mechanic with this?
So it's really important to make sure that you know the media landscape around your brand or your client. So where are your audience reading? What are they reading online? What do they look at online? What kind of socials are they on? And through that, understanding what kind of journalists talk about those subjects, write for those publications, and then building that relationship with them from there. So whether that's following them on social media, retweeting what they write, retweeting their posts, writing a post about their articles that they've written and tagging them in it, and building up that relationship. And then I think email is the best way to do it personally. If you've already built a relationship with a journalist, an email and a phone call can work. But if you're going in cold, I would say an email that's specifically tailored to them, that you've thought about what they write about and why their audience would be interested in your content, and then make it very clear to them on the page. Emails are really, really important. Journalists get, I think, about 300 a day on average, just from PRs, press releases. So you need to make sure it is very relevant to them. You need to make sure you've got your email headline and it really stands out. And you need to make sure that they won't read what you've emailed them, think, oh, that's not relevant to me at all, and then kind of not put you on a blacklist, but then not be that interested in what you send afterwards. I understand why a lot of PRs can do kind of like a mass email to loads and loads of different journalists because people are under a lot of pressure to build those links. But in my experience, putting the time in to really build up that relationship with journalists, so they already publish what you do, they know what your client does, makes a huge, huge difference in getting them to talk about your content.
Got you. So we want to be putting, not just signing up to a PR service and spamming 10,000 people who are on that PR list. I'm on several of those. I get some utterly irrelevant stuff coming through thanks to it. But to look at what are the websites we want to be listed on with those high domain numbers that talk about the right sort of thing, who are the right people, start to do that work. So we're also probably not doing a press release in that format every week. We're doing them far more, maybe once every 3 to 6 months, something like that. Would that be about right for a big release?
I guess it depends on how much you want to invest into your digital PR. There are some clients where once a quarter we might do a really big digital PR campaign. There are some where we might do it once a month, especially if you're a very, very big business and you do have a number of different services. There might be times when we've had clients who are doing kind of 3 concurrently. One might be to 3 different sections of the website. Bombarding journalists, you don't want to do that. But if the information is really relevant to them, journalists are under a lot of pressure to continually put out stories that people are going to read. So if you know that it's relevant, I don't think it matters if you're emailing them 3 different stories in a month, for example.
Got you. And you spoke about the newsjacking, which I can see being If the right thing comes up, it's a lot quicker because they go, oh, I need something to talk about this. And you essentially are delivering them the story, the quote, the imagery to make it super easy for them. So for an average size brand who's, looking at investing into this, what would you say is kind of like a reasonable split between newsjacking effort, taking advantage of something that's already happening, versus the controlling the story and releasing your own content?
Yeah, that's a really brilliant question. So at connective3, we don't just do those two. We do a third approach to digital PR as well. So newsjacking, as we've explained, is kind of highlighting what's going on in the media and jumping on that story. Our big creative campaigns is creating that story and creating that content that you get people to then talk about. And that can take a lot of time and investment. So it can take up to, as we said, 3 months to create something really fantastic. We also do something called proactive PR. So that's jumping on the content that yourself or your client already has on site, turning that into quite a quick press release and getting that sent out to journalists. And it's not quite the same as newsjacking because it's not jumping on something that may have happened, but you can make it quite relevant. So for example, when we had a lot of really cold weather, one of our clients who are a home insurance company would have a blog on site about keeping your house warm during the winter. So we just take from that blog, get a comment written up by the client and then get that sent out straight away. So it's not quite newsjacking, it's using content that's already created, but it's a really quick way to build those links while you're doing those big campaigns in the background as well. I think we probably see the majority of the high quality links coming from our bigger campaigns, so about 60 to 70%. And then we see about 30 to 40% coming from proactive and reactive PR. That can vary by industry. So if you're in finance, you're probably going to get a few more links through from newsjacking than you are if you're in retail. There are a lot of things coming up in the media month after month, year after year that you can really newsjack. So like the house price index, inflation, a really recent one, you can put out commentary on that. Whereas in retail, you can jump on trends, you can talk about TV shows like Bridgerton was a big one when it came out. I know that's coming out again this year, talking about the Bridgerton trends and how that's influencing what people are dressed like. But that's kind of more of an as and when. Whereas the big consumer price index or house price index, those finance days that you know are going to happen, you can always have a quote ready for that. So it does depend on your industry. Some lend themselves more to newsjacking than others, but it's always good to make sure yourself and your team are really media literate and you know what people are talking about, you know what journalists are talking about, and you're really hot on the upcoming trends. And a great way to do that is to be on TikTok. And I'm not just saying that as an excuse for myself because I'm addicted to TikTok and I say it's for work. It is one of the biggest trend predictors at the moment. Things come on TikTok far quicker than they do in the regular news cycle now. So as much as it might be bad for your screen time, I would say get on TikTok if you want to do PR.
Love that top tip. And talking about TikTok, etc., we've been talking kind of about journalists and press and media. Does this, if we know of a great blogger or a great influencer who we're already working with, would you include this kind of stuff out to them within that PR strategy to get links from blogs, etc., rather than just the news centres?
Yeah, if someone has a really nice fashion blog or a travel blog, if you've got a travel client and they'll be interested in the content that you create, and I'd definitely include them. Yeah, potentially not if they've got kind of a really low domain authority, but they'd definitely be worth keeping in mind for things like a combination campaign. If you ever wanted to do a bit of an influencer PR campaign, I wouldn't discredit any influencers or bloggers just because they've got a low domain authority. I probably just wouldn't chase them up for a link.
Got you. So, Rosa, anything else the audience really needs to know that we haven't yet mentioned around achieving all this?
I think one of the biggest things that people new to digital PR or people looking to refresh their skills on digital PR is how to create those big, all-encompassing campaigns. The world of digital PR, it does go in trends. So you do see trends with campaigns that are building a lot of links. Things like dream jobs was a really big trend a while back. Maps always do really well. The big one at the moment seems to be indexes. So things like the best places for fashion in the UK, the best places to live in Europe. That seems to be a really big trend at the moment. So keeping an eye on what is working for other people can work really, really well. And there are a few different ways that you can do that. So having a look at our agency's websites on connective3, we've got a lot of really nice digital PR case studies. So taking a look at them and seeing what's worked there in the past. There's also a newsletter that Iona Townsley does called The Grapevine, where she emails once a month with all the digital PR campaigns that she's seen. That's a really great way of seeing what people are doing at the moment and what works. But I would also say, try not, instead to follow trends, try and create those trends yourself. So having a look at what your competitors are doing and trying to do it better is always a great way to build those links. But if you really want to make a name for yourself in PR and get one of those viral campaigns, doing something completely different and start on one of them trends is the best way to do it, really. And the way to do that is to know your brand or your client inside out, what would work for them and what their audience would want to read. Knowing the journalists and the publications that you want to target and knowing definitely what they'll cover. So like the Metro, for example, they always like talking about sex. I don't know why, but they always talk about that kind of thing. And the Daily Mail really like those kind of clickbaity headlines and brain teasers and stuff that get people clicking through really quickly. The broadsheets are much more likely to cover something that has a freedom of information request in it. So that kind of original data research that you can pull, that you can create. So knowing what works for them and then being really creative, and I hate to use this phrase, but thinking outside the box when it comes to those ideas. So rather doing something that's been done before, do something that you think people are going to want to read over the next few months. Again, being on TikTok and looking what's upcoming in terms of trends is a great way to kind of get that and understand that, and combining that with having a real passion and a knowledge of that media landscape. Combining those three together is the best way to really come up with those next level ideas. A good tip that I think when it comes to creativity is having those brainstorms with kind of a number of different people, and always making sure that you don't do the first idea everyone thinks of. And the world of digital PR can be really fast moving sometimes, and you just want to churn out idea after idea because you're under pressure to build those links. But a way to really take those campaigns to the next level is not to just do the first idea that everyone thinks of in a brainstorm, but to develop that further and develop it further again and keep moving with it to see where you get in the end. I also think in digital PR, to have those amazing campaigns, it's really important to take risks. Clients, obviously, they want the results and they want the links. But if you don't ever take a risk with a new campaign that's not really being done in the digital PR world before, then you're never going to have that big viral, interactive, amazing piece. And my advice in terms of taking risks with PR is take the risk. If you fail, make sure you fail fast. So if it's not working and it's not coming through and you're not getting those links that you need, get the feedback from the journalists that you've got those relationships with to see why, to see what's different about the campaign, what they don't like about it, what they might not use. Then adapt and change the campaign. Some of the best campaigns that we've had at connective3 started out at something very, very different, and then they weren't working in the way that we wanted them to. I've had campaigns that I've done that I've had so much faith in that I've outreached and they've got 0 links after about 3 weeks. And it can be so disheartening, but it does happen. It does happen in the world of PR. You need to discover what's wrong with it, find out why journalists aren't liking it, aren't linking to it, adapt it and change it, give it a different angle, try a different audience and make that work. But risk taking is really important, and that's how you be creative and that's how you learn and grow with your campaigns.
I love that. So glad I asked you if there's anything we missed, because clearly we'd missed a big chunky piece. So Rosa, thank you so much for that. So listeners, remember, stay tuned right to the end so you don't miss out on Rosa's insider tips coming up very shortly, and my suggestions for more resources to help you improve things even further in your business. Remarkable Commerce is the UK's most flexible and configurable e-commerce platform, designed specifically for D2C retailers who want to grow their sales quickly. They're trusted by leading retailers like Moss, Ben Sherman and Roman. Remarkable's key differences are full freedom of your front-end design and full control of which composable modules you wish to use. Very excitingly, they've just released this year's Digital Retail Index, a performance audit of nearly 800 UK retailers, ranking them by key technical metrics. To find out where you're ranked or submit your own site for analysis, go to keepopt.com/remarkable. That's REMARKABLE. So keepopt.com/remarkable for the Digital Retail Index. Okay, Rosa, so far we've gone deep into external link building. Now you get to wow us with your insider knowledge about the whole of SEO. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with SEO, which of course does include everything we've already been talking about. Rosa, are you ready for these?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's start with newbie advice. If we've inspired someone to take their first step, what do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
So for the best chance of success in digital PR, for people who are very new to it, I would say understand why you are building those links. When I first started in link building, I was building links to the site in a very rudimentary way, but I didn't quite understand why I was doing it. I just kind of did it because I was told to. But having an understanding that building links is like acquiring social proof. And if Google sees that you've got high authority websites linking back to your website, then you're seen as more authoritative and trustworthy, and you're more likely to move up in the SERPs. Having an understanding of that is the basis that you need to then create really good digital PR campaigns. I would also say if you're new to SEO in general, having a really basic knowledge about technical SEO, why it's important and what it means, and then a good understanding of content, on-site content, the type of content that you can write that converts, and why that is really important. And using all three of them together and understanding how they work together is a really good way of getting that grasp of SEO if you're really new to it.
Love that answer. Brilliant places to start. Thank you. Once you've started, of course, though, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favourite way to improve performance?
So it is making sure that you've got proper measurement. So as we've discussed earlier, knowing the number of links and the DA of those links that you've built is still really important. Obviously, if you've built one link and you go to your client and you say, but it's X, Y, and Z, it's still important to have that link number. But making sure that you're really having a look at what those links are doing to your site and how it's improving. So taking a look at visibility using Systrix, traffic using GA, and then how that will be impacting your sales and leads is really, really important to keep improving that performance. Making sure you've got a good internal linking strategy as well. So any of the links that you are building, whether that's to the homepage, to the service pages, or even to the blog, that power does pass through to all different areas of the site. And again, I sound like a broken record, but making sure that you've got good content that converts and a technically sound website while you're building those links will ensure that you do see an increase in traffic and sales from that link building activity rather than just seeing visibility increase.
Love it. Thank you. If someone listening wants to learn more, is there a cheap or free resource you'd recommend?
One of my absolute favourite things is about, I think, the SEO and the digital PR world is the amount of knowledge sharing that people do. I follow lots of really good people on LinkedIn and on Twitter who talk all the time about the different experiments that they're doing, the different emails that they're trying, and it's really fantastic. So I think following connective3 obviously is brilliant, and we've got a really, really good blog that has lots of in-depth looks into the different areas of digital PR, whether that's UK, international, US. It's a really great resource. But following all different types of agencies online is a really great way to get that information. The Moz blog, I read a lot. SEMrush blog is brilliant, and the Ahrefs blog, I read them quite regularly. And then attending as many events as you can as well. I feel like our industry is so brilliant for hosting them events that aren't even that expensive a lot of the time. At connective3, we host an event every quarter called Digital Bites, where we have people up on stage speaking for 10 minutes about a discipline, and it could be SEO focused, but we do things like social as well. But it's free to attend. It's based in Manchester, and it's a really great way of beginners to understand that kind of area of marketing. We've also got a really big event called Up North, which has a lot of different speakers and have really advanced talks. And there'll be some on SEO that'll be really brilliant. Then you've got other events like Brighton SEO. I think it's obviously a very iconic event in the industry. And there are just some brilliant talks on there on link building, everything to do with SEO content. And it's just such a great way for beginners or people looking to kind of refresh their knowledge to learn from others. I think our industry is just brilliant for knowledge sharing. This podcast obviously is like a really great way for people to listen and to understand a little bit more. And then just following individuals as well who share a lot of content. Our content marketing director, David White, is one of the best link builders that I've ever worked with, and he shares content all the time on LinkedIn. He's really brilliant for it. So yeah, just do your research and have a look. There's a lot of different things that you can use as resources.
It's so hard to pick one resource in SEO because, like you say, it's amazing given how complex an industry it is, how much people are willing to share on blogs, on the big industry websites, at events and so forth. So I love all those recommendations, and I'm not following David, so I will shortly be doing that myself. Finally, Rosa, it's crystal ball time. What's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for?
So I feel like you can't have a conversation about digital PR and the upcoming future of digital PR without talking about AI. It is the elephant in the room in every talk in marketing at the moment, I think. What my opinion on it at the moment is, I don't think AI is good enough to be able to use it for writing outreach emails, to write press releases, or to kind of do anything that really needs that human touch. I think it's good as a guide. So if you are looking for the top 10 tips for summer barbecues, if you sell garden furniture, for example, getting a few tips from ChatGPT on how to do that, I think is fine. But getting it to write your press release, it's just not at that level yet where journalists would use that. I've had quite a few journalists tell me that they can really tell when a press release is written by AI or an email is written by AI. It's quite obvious at the moment. And it might change in the next few years. It might get to a level where it writes better than all of us, and then we never have to write again. But at the moment, I'd just be really careful if you are a PR practitioner that you're only using it as a guide rather than using it to do all your content for you. And then a big thing in PR at the moment, especially in e-commerce, is affiliate links. So one of the biggest questions I'm asked by clients at the moment is, how do we get around the affiliate link issue? If you build a link from a great website, for example, from The Mirror, if your client or if your brand itself has an affiliate program with The Mirror, then the chances are that link could be straight away without the affiliate team asking or without you knowing, get changed into an affiliate link, and that will pass through no SEO value at all. So it's kind of like all that hard work that you've done will be not wasted, but all the hard work that you've done to creating that campaign and getting that link, you don't get the end goal that you want from it. So there are a few things that you can do to kind of work around this. Understand the affiliate programs that are in place with your business or your client. So speak to their affiliate team, speak to their marketing team, see what they do have in place, and just make sure you've got that understanding. They might have like a blanket affiliate network, which like every tabloid will be part of, or they might have certain relationships. So just make sure you've got that understanding so you know when to include things and when to not. In my experience, and this might change, not all journalists will use affiliate links. So find those journalists that kind of don't seem to put those affiliate links in and contact them. Focus on niche sites as well. So if you're finding that your brand or your client does have that kind of blanket affiliate network, take a look at those sites that aren't necessarily just tabloids or broadsheets. Have a look at things like government websites, education websites, blogs, as we mentioned before, and build links to those places specifically because they won't have affiliate networks in place and those will pass through a lot more for you. So there are ways around it. I think it is going to be a conversation that's going to just keep happening over the next couple of years in terms of digital PR. But just make sure you are aware of it. You do understand those affiliate networks that are in, and programs that are in place, and you do have those kind of ways to work around it.
I love your perspective on AI. I also love the fact you've just brought up the affiliate link piece, because we did an episode on affiliates earlier this year. We did a whole series on affiliates earlier this year. And in one episode, we were celebrating the fact that affiliates is booming because of the editorial, the journalists being tasked with adding affiliate links and driving, affiliate commissions from their content. So it's lovely to get the PR perspective. And I suppose the only thing I'd add, because I think you were spot on, is that whether the link ends up being an affiliate link or an SEO link, it's still good news for the brand. So we're definitely not against journalists using affiliate links. We just need to know how the sales are being tracked. So love that you brought that up, because that's such a hot topic. Rosa, we are very nearly at the end of the episode. So could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and your business?
So you can find connective3 at connective3.com. Our website has all kind of our case studies of our work that we've done. It's got a load of really amazing resources and blogs, so you can take a look at that. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rosa Mitchell. I will accept your request if you send one through. I'm also on Twitter at RoroMitch as well.
Rosa, thank you so much for being on the show. You have done a brilliant episode on link building, so we really, really appreciate it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Chloe. I've really enjoyed it.
So link building, definitely something you should be investing in, but not a simple process to do it right and to do it well. Rosa talked about 4 strategies in total. There was the link reclamation or link rec, which is where you're finding mentions of your brand and asking them to link to you. That was kind of like the side one. Then the 3 ones they spend most of their time on are, she said 60 to 70% of links come through the bigger PR projects where they're creating the story. They're researching the story, researching who they want to talk to about it, building those relationships to then get people covering it and linking back to the right pages of the website. That was 60 to 70% of links. Then the other 2, which make up 30 to 40%, was the reactive PR or the newsjacking, where you're jumping on a story that's happening. And then the third one was the proactive PR, which is where you're taking existing content to jump on stories like it's back to school, so we're going to put out our school uniformsy type stuff. So it's that kind of activity. Loads of insight there from Rosa. Love those, the sharing of the metrics that they focus on and everything. I think she's given us all a big old to-do list. You can find the links to all those things we discussed, the full transcript of the episode, our notes and more at keepoptimizing.com. Or you can use our special direct to episode short links. Just put keepopt.com/ whatever the number of this episode is into the URL bar, and you'll be redirected straight to the right episode page. And when you get to the website, please do add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the other things I share to help you improve your business. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Keep Optimizing podcast. Normally at this point, I would purely tell you to go and listen to the rest of our SEO episodes, but fitting in rather lovelingly, that is a word, I promise, with what Rosa was talking about are a couple of things we've covered earlier this year, as well as the SEO stuff we've covered. So she was talking about content that converts. One of the big ways of making your content convert at the moment is story and full funnel content strategies. We covered all of that back in February with our storytelling month. So if you scroll back up the feed to the episodes with storytelling at the start, then you can have a listen to those. And the episode with Amy about product copy is the one that sprung most to mind in what we've been talking about today. And then in January, we did a whole month on affiliates, including talking around that editorial aspect, which I think was the episode we read. But if you scroll back, you will see those affiliate episodes too. So 3 loads of stuff for you to get stuck into after this one. The SEO content, which you'll find at keepopt.com/SEO, the affiliate activity, the story activity, and if you scroll back up your feed, you will find all of those episodes ready for you to dive into. Our next masterclass topic, because this was the last of our SEO for this year, is omnichannel. So we're going to be doing a month that's not really technically about a marketing method, but which is about those different channels you might be selling via. So we're talking in-store activity, we're talking pop-ups, we are talking wholesale, we'll be talking marketplaces, we're talking expanding overseas, all those different markets, all those different channels you could tap into to sell your products and increase your sales. That's what we're going to be doing for the whole of the next month. Fascinating set of episodes with a brilliant load of experts coming up. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday to get the first of those. And to make sure you get all of that, make sure you're subscribed to us or following us on your favourite podcast player or signed up to our email list via the website. And if you know someone who's particularly interested in link building, SEO, or our upcoming omnichannel series, please do let them know we're covering it all, because this show exists not just to help you, but to help them as well to improve your marketing. So have a great week and make sure you listen to our next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimizing.com. That's with an S, not a Z.
Get your copy of Remarkable's latest digital retail index now, a performance audit of nearly 800 UK retailers, ranking them by key technical metrics. Find out your ranking or submit your site for analysis at keepopt.com/remarkable. That's REMARKABLE. So keepopt.com/remarkable for the digital retail index.